The following is a presentation of 912 Sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, your number one source for high school sports. With Shawn Smoak, Kevin Price, and Robbie Ross. On Air with 912 Sports is brought to you by Coastal Pines Technical College. Go Coastal. Prime South Bank. Find your prime. Robbie Robertson Ford, because Fords are cheaper in the swamp. Gibson Animal Clinic, practical solutions with limited fees. Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, the region's best orthopedic care. And Kim Smoak, licensed realtor with eXp Realty.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Welcome, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Shawn Smoak, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by head writer and podcast host Kevin Price. Kevin, how you doing this morning?
Good, Shawn. Great to be here talking to you. High school football season is here.
It's hard to believe, Kevin. We're here at this great facility at Glenn County Stadium. We can look off in the distance. I know the camera can't see it, but see the stadium out there. It's looking good, ready to go. Second year of the turf field here, and it's hard to believe that it's tomorrow night. We're going to have Friday Night Lights on.
That's right. And I guess, for a lot of people that will be coming to the games across the state and certainly here in Southeast Georgia, might be their first exposure to football. Now, you and I, we kind of whetted our appetite for football at some of the summer stuff, 7-on-7s, the padded camps and whatnot. But
it's not scrimmage games.
Right. It's not 100% the real thing. So tomorrow night we do get the real thing. So football season is here, and as always, a lot of interesting storylines and subplots here in Southeast Georgia, so it should be fun as always.
Yeah, I'm looking for a great year, Kevin. We got a returning state champion in the Ware County Gators. We've got a couple semifinalists. We got several quarterfinalists, and I expect nothing less, coming this season.
Yeah, I mean, we could tell from our high school media day that the coaches, the players, they've all put a lot of time and effort in as always. We're going to have a lot of, good teams here in Southeast Georgia, a lot of good players. We've got all-state players. Like you say, we've got teams that have gone deep into state playoffs last year, returning the state champion, looking to go back-to-back and have all the pieces to do that. It's tough, so you can't automatically just say they're going to do it. But again, should be an interesting season all across the state of Georgia, but that includes right here in the 912.
Yeah, looking forward to it. But, hey, we're going to have a rundown of all the games coming up tomorrow night. That's August the 18th. So stick around. We'll be right back here after these messages. You're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Call on us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Welcome back, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. We're going to dive right into it. We got football this Friday night right here in Southeast Georgia in the 912, and we're going to start off with one of the better games, Kevin, in all the state. We got Appleton County traveling over to Ware County to play the 5A state champion Gators. Appleton coming off a semifinal appearance last year in AA. Listen, Appleton is loaded this year. They got tons of talent. Ware's loaded. They got tons of talent. And this is a ball game, Kevin, that didn't get played last year. There was tons of fans from Baxley in the stands. There were tons of fans in Waycross in the stands over in Baxley. And, I mean, the teams were on the field, Kevin, lined up. The arm was up, fixing to blow the whistle to kick the ball game off, and a lightning strike hit and just shut everything down. They never were able to get that game played. So a lot of people anticipating this game, but going to be an old-fashioned slobber knocker right there in the swamp Friday night.
No question. Heat and thunderstorms, always a story early in the season, and could be a story this week as well. But that did impact this game last year, like you said, and hopefully that won't be the case this year. But I think that element right there makes this game all the more intriguing. We've had to wait a whole other year for these two teams to match up. Two great teams, two teams that we expect a lot of this season in their respective regions and classifications. A lot of great athletes are going to be on the field for both teams, so this is a good, attractive, physical matchup for both teams. They'll have to strap on the headgear and the pads and be ready to roll when that ball gets kicked off. But I think at the end of the day, even though both teams have dudes, and there's a difference, Shawn, between dudes and players, you know that, but Ware has more players, period.
Right.
And with the heat and all that, I would expect that their depth eventually will take over. If the game is close in the second half, and maybe Ware wins for that reason, if no other reason. But I hope that both these teams walk away from this ball game feeling pretty good about themselves and what they have for the rest of the season. And I think that'll be the case.
Listen, Kevin, both of these teams are going to be playing in December. I would be willing to bet the house on that right now. And listen, Appleton may wind up losing this game, but don't hang your head, Pirate fans, because I'm telling you, after that, I see you guys going undefeated and making it all the way to state. I think this is Appleton County's year. And listen, they'll probably give Ware all they want to, but I stick, just like you said, Kevin, I think Ware might have one or two more bullets in the gun than what Appleton does. So going to be a good one there in the swamp. But moving on, we've got Lanier's going to travel over to Bacon. Bacon under their second year under Mark Wilson. And then we've got Bradwell going to travel over to Wayne. So Wayne County coming off that fantastic turnaround season last year, Kevin, going from winless in 21 to a semifinal appearance in 2022. Jabo Shaw done a fantastic job there with the Wayne County Yellow Jackets, and I look for them to have another great season. One of the premier running backs in the state there, and Matthew Fuller. So and a lot of dudes, Tavion Wallace, another guy there for the Jackets. So a lot of good players there in Wayne County. So look for good things out of them this year. But the next game we want to talk about is Brantley and Atco. The reason I bring this up, Kevin, is, and I don't want to jinx it here in fans, so let's don't get the cart in front of the horse just yet. But Kevin, when you look at Brantley's schedule, there is a very real possibility they could be going into the fifth game of the season playing the Pierce County Bears, which is their region opener, undefeated. Okay, undefeated. I'm talking about 4-0, guys. So that's one of the things that intrigues me about this game. So, what's your take for Brantley this year?
Well, first of all, Jeff Camden has done a great job there
at
Brantley in the time that he's been there, maximizing the resources and the talent that he has. I know they slipped a little bit last year, but that was a 5-5 record, Shawn.
Exactly.
With a 2-4 record in region play. I think they won their first 2-3 ball games last year, then had a little bit of a drop off in the middle, and then finished a little slow against some of their region opponents. But one of their wins last year early in the season was a 34-6 victory over ATCO. So I would look for Brantley to get off to another good start, and maybe you can't win them all if you don't win that first one.
Exactly.
And that also will get them on the way to that possible undefeated start there going into that Pierce County game. So Shawn's already put one little subplot out there that we'll be watching here early in the season. But good luck to both of these teams as an annual matchup. And like I say, Brantley won at 34-6 last year, and we'll see if they can do it again this year on the road this time.
We're looking for good things out of Old Caney Bay this year. Moving on next, Brunswick is open. And I put this on the list, Kevin. We don't usually talk about teams that are open, but I want to kind of preview the following week. We're talking about the 18th here, but you get into that next week. I think that date's the 25th. But they're going to have to travel down to Camden County to play the 7A Camden County Wildcats. Camden's all the hype in the world this year for 7A. Camden will have a game under their belt because they're playing this Friday night. Brunswick has to sit at home, don't get to play a real game. Now, I know they've had the big jamboree and all that stuff, but still, how important do you think it's going to be for Brunswick not to have played a game by the time they go down to Chris Gilman Stadium on the 25th?
Well, one thing is, maybe they can keep some things hidden from Camden, so that could be to their advantage. I don't think that they, necessarily showed everything they have in their arsenal in the jamboree or the scrimmage, whatever you want to call it, against McIntosh County Academy and Savannah Christian. They also will get to see Camden possibly live in tape and on tape against Columbia, so they'll have that advantage. But I think there's a huge advantage in Camden's favor to work out the kinks in the game, be under fire on a Friday night, maybe more so than Brunswick sitting there idle. And also, Camden will be at home. And high school teams love that revenge factor.
Oh, yeah.
And Camden felt like they let one get away from them last year right here at Glenn County Stadium against a really good Brunswick team. Brunswick will be good again. That's going to be a juicy matchup next week. I'm sure we'll talk more about that one.
Moving on, we do have Columbia at Camden, so Camden is going to play that game there at Chris Gilman Stadium. But, we talked a little bit about the Brunswick game, Kevin. You can talk to almost every coach in this state, and they will tell you that their teams improve more from game 1 to game 2 than they do any other part of the season. So big factor there with that big game coming up on the 25th. But again, Columbia travels down to Camden this Friday night on the 18th, so Camden will play that game there at Chris Gilman Stadium. And I believe, Kevin, Camden only has like 3 true road games this whole season. So going to be a lot of football played there in the Kings of the St. Mary's area. So moving on to the next game that we want to talk about, I want to talk about Jeff Davis and Charlton. We picked this as our game of the week for 912 Sports. If you look at our games of the week there in the magazine, this game is very, very intriguing to me. Jeff Davis coming off, let's face it, Kevin, a horrible year last year. Only got 1 win on the season. Charlton, on the other hand, comes in this game region champs. A first time they'd won a region championship in several years. So, but again, Jeff Davis got to travel to Charlton this year. But, I think this is going to be a good game. I think Jeff Davis is going to be much improved. Can they go down to the swamp in Folkestone and get it done? I guess we'll see tomorrow night.
Yeah, and talk about a guy who's done a great job. Both of these coaches have, actually, but Lance Helton has done a great job at Jeff Davis in the time he's been there. I know they dropped way off last year compared to what they had been in the recent past, losing their first 9 ball games and then winning their last game 21-19 over Sumter County to get off the snide, so to speak, and finish 1-9. Charlton's been trending in the right direction under Russ Murray, who's done a great job there, replacing Coach Rich McWhorter. Went 8-3 last year. I think lost in the second round of the playoff against a good Dooley County team. That was a close game. But Shawn, this one was close. Last year. It was 20-14 in overtime. I think it's going to be another great physical ball game on a hot summer night down there in the swamp. One of the best places in Southeast Georgia for high school football. Down there, and of course, great tradition down there at Charlton. So I would expect there'd be a lot of electricity in the atmosphere. Hopefully it's just not thunder and lightning.
Look for a good one there in Folkestone on Friday night. Moving on, Berrien's going to travel over to Clinch County. Kevin, a lot of talk around Don Tyson's team this year. Clinch really on a lot of people's radar to win that classification altogether. That's single A Division II. So we'll see how it shakes out. But again, just like you said earlier, Kevin, can't win them all if you don't win game one. So a big game there for Clinch on Friday night. And then Tiff travels over to Coffee County. Tiff, a big 6A school, going to play a 5A school there in Coffee. Don't know if they got enough bullets in their gun to take care of the Trojans there. So look for Mike Coe in his second year to have a really strong football team to give everybody in that region tough fits. And listen, once they get into playoffs, whether they win the region or finish second to where is irrelevant. This team's going to be good come November and December. But hey, Kevin, let's take a break. We'll come right back here and talk about the second half of the games for the games coming up this Friday the 18th. But stick around, watch these messages from our sponsors. You're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
Welcome back, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Shawn Smoak. He's Kevin Price. We're going to now go into the second half of the games on slate for tomorrow night. That's Friday the 18th. And Kevin, we're going to start off with Richmond Hill at Effingham. Richmond Hill, Kevin, kind of a tough year for the Wildcats last year, getting into that 7A. Had a lot of close games, played with a lot of young kids. And then you talk about Effingham in a huge game right here, Kevin, that you were in the box calling. Effingham, just a couple of plays, one win away from maybe winning a region title. So these teams kind of were on different ends of the spectrum last year. Both of these guys got some dudes, as we talk about, coming back. So it should be a really, really good matchup up there in Springfield on Friday night.
Yeah, Shawn, as you know, this is a really attractive matchup, I think, on paper. One, I'm certainly going to be curious to see not only the final score, but some of the stats involved in the game, and I'll get into that in a minute. But Matt Lazard obviously has done a great job at Richmond Hill. Went up into 7A last year and maybe found the sledding a little tough with a young squad. Finished 3-7. Coach Ford there at Effingham, been there a couple of years. Went 7-4 last year, so he has that program up and coming. Last year, Shawn, Effingham got off to a slow start, as you know. That included a 14-0 loss to Richmond Hill. They couldn't score the first 2 weeks of the season, which is very surprising, considering that after that they got on a roll, won 7 straight ball games, got into that close game with Brunswick. They've been in 2 close games with Brunswick the last couple of years at the end of the season, then lost in the playoffs. But this matchup, I think Richmond Hill, I saw them at the OTA at Glenn. Looks like they're going to be able to run the football, and that might be the best thing they can do Friday night, is to keep that ball in their possession and keep the Effingham offense off the field. They're going to want to spread them out, slinging around. And, of course, they got the Hayes kid at quarterback. He's got a lot of weapons around him. That Richmond Hill defense, for a first game, this is a tough test.
Well, plus you got the running back at Effingham, too.
Right. They're going to have to keep, the quarterback and his receivers and that whole offense off kilter, off balance. They're facing a tough assignment. So I'll be curious to see how many points and yards they give up, and whether or not maybe the time of possession could be a key in this ball game too. So some interesting stats could decide this ball game. But this is real attractive first game matchup for both of these ball clubs.
Yeah, and Richmond Hill, I think a win would go a long way for them, to get them off on onto a good season. So, but we'll move on, Kevin. We've got Brookwood at Frederica. Frederica going to be over here under the Oaks on the island Friday night. So check that out. And then the next game that we want to talk about in detail, it's the Statesboro at Glenn game. Statesboro with a new coach and Matt Dobson coming in. Got a ton of players, Kevin. Got a couple of players on our All-912 team. And then you've got Glenn. Glenn coming off of a not-so-typical year for a Rocky Hidalgo team. Did make the playoffs for, I believe, the 9th year in a row. So they're looking for number 10 this year. I look for Glenn to be very improved. I found out a long time ago, if Rocky Hidalgo tells you something, you might want to listen. And if you remember at Media Day, Kevin, he was all but guaranteeing a playoff spot for this team. He feels like he's got a really good football team. So I'm interested to see if they can come out and get a big victory against Statesboro in week 1.
Yeah, well, Glenn was young last year, a lot of inexperience, some rough patches in the road, but did end up winning 6 games and making the playoffs. Statesboro was the opposite, 3-7. That was Jeff Kaiser's final season. He stepped aside. Shawn, you might remember that Statesboro and Glenn were in the same region until reclassed last year, but Coach Kaiser and Coach Hidalgo wanted to keep each other on the schedule, so they played a non-region game. The first game of the season. Glenn won a shootout up there in Statesboro last year, 43-42. Did one of those LSU, Rocky Hidalgo, Les Mile tricks, fake field goal attempt on a 2-point conversion, I think it was, and won that game. And neither team could stop each other. Right. But, of course, Statesboro going to be a little fired up with a new coach this year. Of course, they'll be even more fired up when they make their home opener under the new regime. Coming up, but that's an element in this ball game. But Glenn's going to be at home this year with a more experienced club. I would think that favors them in this ball game, but they do have Cam McHale on Statesboro's side of the field. He's one of the best athletes in the state in any classification. He's one of those players that Glenn couldn't stop last year. We'll see if they'll do a better job against him this year. And he's a difference maker, Kevin, just like you said. He's somebody to watch for sure. So big game here, right here at Glenn County Stadium Friday night. But moving on, we got Southeast Bullock at Liberty. This is Coach Tony Glazer's second year at Liberty. Had a fantastic year last year. I think made it to the second round of the playoffs. I know Tony didn't want to get the job the way he did with everybody losing Coach Kurt Warner, but it's done a fantastic job stepping into some big shoes to fill. So I look for good things out of Liberty again this year. We got Toombs going to travel over to Long. Kevin Long's coming off the best season in the school's history. We'll see if they can repeat that. We heard from Coach Feaster at Media Day. He talked about great job winning series or winning the regular season, but now he wants that playoff win and moving on to the playoffs. So we'll see if they get that chance. Got a great running back too, and there at Liberty. Douglas, Amari Douglas, great kid. Matter of fact, he's our running back, one of our running backs on our All-912 sports team there. So look for good things out of him. Then we're going to travel down the road, or I guess our buddies down the road here at Darien are going to travel over to Savannah to take on Johnson of the Savannah. Look for McIntosh to have a pretty big win there. Windsor Forest going to travel over to New Hampstead. Again, I think this is a game that Kyle can go ahead and put in the win column. I think New Hampstead's going to be pretty good this year, even though they lose their quarterback, Paul Seeley. He's got some good guys stepping into those roles over there for the Phoenix, and I look for them to have a good season.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
And Kevin, the last game that we're going to talk about today is the Vidalia at South Effingham. I put this on the list because we got two first-year coaches at their schools going at it. Rodney Garver came over from Metter, had very good success at Metter. He's taken over the Vidalia program, so we'll see what he can do. And then we've got a new coach there at South Effingham, Lauren Purvis. He's a first-year head coach, and look for good things out of him. He's taken over for Nate Clark. But both of these coaches, Kevin, on their debut is going to want to get a win. So I think it's going to be a real interesting game up there in Guyton on Friday night.
Yeah, both coaches want to get a win, and both of their, all their players want to get a win for their coach. So there will be some excitement in the air with two new coaching staffs, trying to get off to a good start and build some momentum for a good season. So I understand, you're intrigued with this matchup, and I would think Vidalia may be a little more experienced overall, may have a little more artillery there to work with, and of course, we'll see what happens. It is the first week of the season, Shawn. So
it is a 2A versus a 6A game.
Yeah, and mistakes are going to decide a lot of these games. Heat and humidity will be involved. If there's weather delays, there's all sorts of factors that could really play into all of these ball games. But again, that's an attractive matchup with two first-year coaches at their schools going at it on Friday night.
Well, folks, football is here for real. The Friday Night Lights will be on tomorrow night all over, not only here in the 912, but all over the state of Georgia. Get out and see a high school football game. Support these kids and these coaches. Kevin, we know football is a 365-day-a-year job now, and Friday night it kicks off in earnest, and these, as they say, count. So get out and check out a local high school football game. Appreciate everybody watching On Air with 912 Sports. Stick around. We'll be right back here after these messages.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robertson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
This has been a presentation of 912 Sports.